To start our live demo, let's review the equipment that we have. So we have a VuLink CI, of course, an antenna, a mounting ring, just make sure it doesn't fall down the well, a Leveltrol 400, a cable to connect the two, and then of course, my trusty Pixel phone device. So I'll use my phone here, but you can use any modern Android or iOS device. So the only other necessary item is an active HydroView account. So HydroView, as I mentioned earlier, is a data management app that runs in any web browser. Most people prefer to run it on their desktop or laptop PC, but I'm going to run it on my phone. So we're going to try not to gloss over any details here, but I am going to skip account creation. So suffice it to say, it's like Netflix. You just create your account and you pick your plan. But you guys don't want to watch me enter my credit card info and address and all that stuff, right? So once we have an account, we're going to log in and navigate to the telemetry page. Once we're at the telemetry page, we're going to press the Add a VuLink button. So from here, we have a couple options. We can just press, we could enter the code manually on the side here, but the really easy way of doing this is actually to hold up the camera, give the camera permissions, and then we can take a shot of this QR code and enter the entire code automatically. After it's scanned, I simply hit register, and the device is all set for uploading to this account. You don't need to configure the device to point to the HydroView account, nor are there any other steps to get billing going properly. Everything is prorated, just like your cell phone bill would be, and if I remove this from the list, billing would start, and the prorating would apply properly in the other direction. So one note, usually our customers do all of this registration before they head out into the field. It can be done like this if you need to, if you didn't have time in the office or something like that, but sometimes it can take a few minutes for all the cell towers to catch up and allow the device to connect. So before we do any more setup, the first thing that we want to do is actually connect all of this and get it set up and in the well. So I know that's a little weird compared to maybe your previous setups. Isn't it easier to get it all set up before you deploy? With VuLink, it's not only the telemetry device, it's also your communication cable / dongle itself. So you don't actually have to worry about all those things that you need to set up beforehand or after. You know, things like your cellular antenna placement or your level reference. After I get all of this connected up here, certainly don't want to forget the ring to make sure it doesn't fall down the well. So from here, the first thing that we do is we want to pull the battery tab, like so, and actually press the button on top. This causes all the lights to light up right there. Now we will go ahead and jump straight to our app. If you didn't need to do any setup on the instrument, of course, you're using some sort of calibrated instrument. We don't need to do a thing here with the app. We just press that button on top, and if everything turns green, we're good to go with the default configuration. VuLink auto-detected the instrument, connected it to the right account, and it will use that default configuration for reading and reporting schedules. But we are doing a level reference, so we need to configure the Leveltrol. So let's connect to the VuLink with our In-Situ app. So the sync that you see here is important to allow HydroView and In-Situ to be in sync. Often we have users doing both remote and local configuration in rapid succession, which can lead to some confusion about which settings actually won the race. This sync keeps that from happening. It also grabs the current time from the network so that we don't have to remember to configure that. So as I said, we'll first configure the Leveltrol. So I will press on this button right here. So again, this is important because you need that reference properly applied prior to setting up barometric compensation, which we'll talk about later. As you can see, when we pressed the button, the device automatically detected that we had the Leveltrol connected. So all I need to do is press this button to talk directly to our Leveltrol. So let's real quick set up a log and make sure that everything is correct. So we'll use defaults for nearly everything, like the name and the parameters and the schedule, and we're all pretty good here. So this log is optional, but it's a nice backup for situations where data assurance is really important. It's totally independent of all the settings that are going to happen up in the VuLink, except for that pesky level reference. So now that's handled, let's jump back up to the VuLink side of things. So now we're back up on VuLink. I don't want to gloss over anything here, but it's important to note that we don't have to set up all of these things. Time, the SIM card, server settings, instrument communication settings, or even alarms for low battery or instrument connection difficulties. So VuLink and HydroView handle all of this automatically. And if you need to do something more complex, there's obviously more advanced configuration that you can do. But for typical use cases, none of that is needed. It just works. So the only things we need to touch are setting up the log and reporting schedules. So let's start by setting up the logging. So we'll come in here, and this will look very similar to the log that we just set up on the level troll. Now there is a slight difference right here on this page where we're actually looking at all the parameters from our system of instruments that are down the well. So this has all the VuLink parameters and the level troll parameters, and it would if we had more instruments connected to it as well. We don't necessarily want to select all of these, so we're only going to pick the ones that matter to us. A nice feature of VuLink is that if we don't want to spend the cellular data on setting up something like battery capacity, the alarm for low battery will still trigger regardless of that, so we don't have to send that there. The Level Troll 400 is a non-vented level instrument, so we'll happily select barometric compensation to get more accurate level. This is a surprisingly deep topic, so check out our YouTube channel for more vented versus non-vented discussion. But for now, let's just leave it at this is a great way to balance maintenance needs and accuracy in this level system. So while I commit this log, the next thing that we're going to do is set up the reporting schedule. So every time the device reports, it will simply take all of the unsent readings since last time and send them up to HydroView. It does not trigger extra readings or anything. It has no effect on the timing of readings. It's just actually when they get transported up into the cloud. So if we had a system that might move like a buoy, this last setting here with the GPS might actually be really relevant to us, but this is a very secure and stationary well, so the default behavior of taking GPS location when we press the button is totally fine. We'll pick once per day on the reporting, and that's it. So let's go back to the main screen, and for good measure, we'll check the connectivity right now so that we're very sure that everything's working before we walk away. What this is going to do here is actually check all the instrument readings, connect to the network, and store the readings up in the cloud, so you don't have to go digging for a table or a graph that shows when the data has actually made it up there. HydroView actually generates a notification that shows you that the device successfully made a test report. So now that this is complete here, that's it. So before we go back to the Q&A, let's head over to Adam and Eric to talk about some of the awesome applications of VuLink.